The head of Marvel Studios, Kevin Feige, wants to set the record straight. Going forward, you are going to continue to see projects that don't necessarily connect directly to the bigger story. AKA, don't expect Daredevil to have a bunch of Easter eggs and mentions of what is going on with Kang the Conqueror, because he doesn't need to. There is a common mistake I see people make when they talk about the MCU phases 1 through 3, and how they almost glorifies and romanticize those phases as always having a direction and everything being meaningful and building up the next thing. In reality, if you go back and literally look at what they said and what they were doing, each project was supposed to stand on its own, and largely does. Only a few were supposed to connect to one another, and the additions of these infinity things were just sort of tossed in there as a loose means to an end, and the end, if they ever got there, would be a payoff. Now, again, when it comes to what they were doing with the phases, there's still a lot of standalone projects in there that don't really lead to much. And you can look at multiple films throughout Phase 1 and 3 and realize that this is, in fact, true. Again, I'll let you figure out which ones, but just think about it for a second. You could probably find at least 6. Off the top of my head, I can find 6. And there's probably more. So it's no surprise that Kevin Feige revealed that when it comes to the MCU going forward, it doesn't all have to connect. It doesn't all have to reference everything. And that going forward, you're going to see projects that connect to other ones, but they don't necessarily connect to everything happening leading into Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars. Yes, there's still going to be those little things that make you realize it's all there, but they're not going to be doing constant callbacks, references, and building up those films, because that's not what it's about. They want the ability to do standalone projects which focus on character-driven stories that contribute to the universe, but they also want the bigger connected films and series that feel more mandatory. And him saying this, honestly, I think is to kind of, it's to battle the constant negativity coming from both sides. When it came to the TV series of old, the Netflix stuff and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., everybody was complaining that they don't feel important and you don't have to watch them for Infinity War and Endgame. So once they announced that Disney Plus shows you're going to have to watch them, because if you want to know who Kang is, watch Loki. If you want to see Doctor Strange and how that film is, possible, Doctor Strange 2, watch WandaVision. People said, why are you forcing this on us? So I guess they're going to go down the middle and force half of it on you and force half of it to not connect to the bigger picture, which, honestly, that's how I want. I can't picture a scenario where you have Daredevil jumping around on the rooftops of New York, and suddenly he has to stop and be like, Claire, Kang, he's a big evil being in space. Loki fought him. Go watch Loki. Okay, Claire? What? Why would that even be a thing? But we know people will still complain, so what's the point, Kevin? What's the point?